Now, the summit between the world's 20 major economies in Rome has concluded. Leaders of the G20 economies made progress in tackling the growing threat of global warming by pledging to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The leaders made an agreement to end funding for new unabated coal plants abroad. Global minimum tax has also been approved, targeting the world's largest economies and companies. Hailing the two-day summit a success, Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi said that for the first time, all member states had agreed on the importance of capping global warming at the 1.5 degrees Celsius level. The aim to achieve net zero carbon emissions by around the middle of the century, according to Draghi, marks a breakthrough in comparison with previous G20 commitments.
Le cose direi fondamentali, poi ne parleremo nelle domande, sul clima che sono successe, è che per la prima volta i paesi del G20 si sono impegnati a mantenere a portata di mano l'obiettivo di contenere il riscaldamento climatico entro 1,5 gradi, con una serie di azioni immediate e con impegni a medio termine. Poi dopo leggeremo.
US President Joe Biden said the leaders had made tangible progress on key issues from climate change to the coronavirus pandemic and the economy. Biden asserted that the agreements made at the G20 summit proved the power of America showing up. Biden also made sure to emphasize that the successes at the talks were largely down to US diplomacy.
I just finished meeting with a broad coalition of partners on how to address the immediate supply chain backlogs and dealing that the world's been dealing with and facing. And we're facing back at home, and how to make sure we have access to all the products we need, from shoes to furniture to electronics to automobiles, to make sure that we talk about how better to secure ourselves against these future shocks, whether pandemic, climate change, or other disasters. I believe we made tangible progress in each of these issues, in part because of the commitment that the United States has brought to the table.
The talks went ahead without the leader of China, the world's largest emitter. Chinese President Xi Jinping instead appeared via video link, as did Vladimir Putin of Russia. Biden said he was disappointed that Russia and China didn't show up in terms of any commitments to deal with climate change. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said the pledge from world leaders after 2 days of talks in Rome was not enough. Johnson has warned of the dire consequences for the planet. Some disappointed leaders also believe that more was needed to make a success of climate talks. Eyes now turn to Glasgow, where more than 120 heads of state and government are meeting for the United Nations COP26 summit.
Further towards 2 degrees, and the time is off.
Our principal diplomatic correspondent Sidhan Sibal sent us this report.
It's a wrap here from the Italian capital, Rome, as curtains come down at the 16th G20 summit. The world leaders gathered here, and of course negotiations and key focus on COVID crisis and climate change. We saw those informal moments as well, whether it's at the summit venue or whether it's here in the city centre at the Trevi Fountain, but also hard diplomacy in terms of engagement, in terms of making sure that what happens here decides the future course of action on dealing with issues like black money, issues like COVID crisis, climate change. Of course, there were major outcomes, especially when it comes to corporate tax, minimum corporate tax. The Indian Prime Minister talked about vaccination, how India can provide vaccines to the world community, and of course his bilaterals. Biggest, of course, was his meeting with the Pope at the Vatican. He inviting the Pope to visit India, something that has been making headlines in India. But largely now the focus shifts to Glasgow for the climate meeting, where of course the world will decide what to do when it comes to this important and crucial issue of climate crisis. With video journalist Ajit Sidhan Sibul for WION in Rome, Italy.